So we're here at the Ag in Motion show in Saskatoon, just outside of Saskatoon, with Warren Bills. Warren, you've spent a good number of years of your life focused on precision agriculture, so I want to push you. I have a hard question for you. Because when I look at a field, whether the grain's coming up yet or not, it looks contiguous to me. You know, like it's a field, and that's what we've always managed in agriculture, is the field. So how do we get to the point where we're managing zones within the field separately?
You know, in my experience, we've looked at variability of a field from the top down using satellite sensors and yield mapping sensors and those sorts of things, or from the bottom up using soil-based sensors, soil tests, that kind of work. And we've really landed on something that's been absolutely foundational for all farmers. It's called a PowerZone, and it's a powerful way of establishing a foundation for production zones on your field.
So PowerZone, this is a way for you to look at production history. How do you do that? Does the grower have to provide all of his production history? He's going through notebooks to give this to you? How do we get started?
Great, that's the beauty of the product, right? Is we've simplified. It's a very intense technology that we use, but we've simplified it down where really the only grower requirement is to have a descriptor of the field, a legal description, so we can find it on a map, and then he needs to create a boundary of that field using a software like Agri-Data or something from his equipment, and that's all he needs. And then he basically raises his hand, submits the order, and within 3 or 4 days he's got a PowerZone back.
So I can point to a field and tell you I want to know the variable rate production zones on that field, and without getting anything else out of me other than the location of that field, you can tell me the production zones? How confident are you that your system's good enough to do that?
Yeah, no, for sure. Great question, and the feedback was phenomenal. Guys said, for what I have to do to get this information back, for how simple it is, and you give it back to them in such a usable form, so they don't have to own their own GIS software or anything like that. It was definitely worth the value. Even outside of wanting to get into variable rate management, growers have used this to help them scout faster, take better soil tests, go to areas of the field to make decisions on whole field as well.
Let's flash forward just a bit. Let's assume that I've pointed at the field and you've run it through the computer gear and the data crunching, and you've shown me a map of the variability. And I'm still sitting on equipment that's got more technical advantage than I know how to use. Now what do we do? How do we push that forward into ROI on the farm?
Our research has shown on the yield gain side of zone management, you should expect between probably 3 to 5 bushels of your small grains and oil seeds, which is $28 to $35 an acre versus flat rate.
That's real money. Absolutely. When we start talking about struggling with prices and yields and throwing around return on investment of $25 to $30 an acre, you get people's attention. So could you take a guy like me who's not using enough technology and get me there? Is that painful? Is that easy? How long is it going to take us to get there?
Some of the work we've done the last couple of years has been really it's a starter level approach. So for someone like yourself, if you've never used this technology before, I have no doubt are intimidated by it. And the last thing I want you to have to do is spend an extra 2 hours at the start of your day figuring out the monitor and hitting buttons. So I'm not going to get you into the full-blown VR everything right off the start. I'm probably just going to help you save some money, but not sacrifice yield while doing that. And so I would start you there. Most of these decisions involve taking what you're already doing and reducing the risk down a level in some of these areas, and find you $7 to $10, kind of wet your whistle.
Well, Warren, thank you for your time. This is a really important issue. I know you've been working on it for years, and we appreciate the insight. Thank you.
Thanks, Ben. Awesome.